Hello, and this is Delia again. I'm reading The Struggle, and I stopped on this part, so I'm not sure what part I'm at. I'm almost into the next chapter, which is chapter 12, so this is still 11. So we will go from here. Comprehension swept through Elena. Oh, she whispered, sitting back. Then she reached for him again, trying to get hold of his hand. Stefan, listen to me. Elena, no. Don't you see it's dangerous? Dangerous for both of us. But especially for you. It could kill you or worse. Only if you lose control, she said, and you won't. Kiss me. No, said Stefan again. He added less harshly, I'll go out hunting tonight as soon as it's dark. Is that the same? She said. She knew it wasn't. It was human blood that gave power. Oh, Stefan, please. Don't you see I want to? Don't you want to? That isn't fair, he said, his eyes tortured. You know it isn't. Elena, you know how much. He turned away from her again, his hands clenched into fists. Then why not, Stefan? I need. She couldn't finish. She couldn't explain to him what she needed. It was a need for connection to him, for closeness. She needed to remember what it was like with him, to wipe out the memory of dancing in her dream and of Damon's arms locked around her. I need us to be together again, she whispered. Stefan was still turned away, and he shook his head. All right, Elena whispered. But she felt a wash of grief and fear as defeat seeped into her bones. Most of the fear was for Stefan, who was vulnerable without his powers, vulnerable enough that he might be hurt by the ordinary citizens of Fell's Church. But some of it was for herself. Okay, so now we're going into 12. A voice spoke as Elena reached for a can on the store shelf. Cranberry sauce already? Elena looked up. Hi, Matt. Yes, Aunt Judith likes to do a preview the Sunday before Thanksgiving, remember? If she practices, there's less chance she'll do something terrible, like forgetting to buy the cranberry sauce until 15 minutes before dinner. Until 5 minutes before dinner, said Elena, consulting her watch, and Matt laughed. It was a good sound, and one Elena hadn't heard for too long. She moved on toward the checkout stand, but after she paid for her purchase, she hesitated, looking back. Matt was standing by the magazine rack, apparently absorbed. But there was something about the slope of his shoulders that made her want to go to him. She poked a finger at his magazine. What are you doing for dinner? She said. When he glanced uncertainly toward the front of the store, she added, Bonnie's waiting out in the car. She'll be there. Other than that, it's just the family. And Robert, of course. He should be there by now. She meant that Stefan wasn't coming. Still wasn't sure how things were between Matt and Stefan these days. At least they spoke to each other. I'm fending for myself tonight. Mom's not feeling so hot, he said. But then, as if to change the subject, he went on, Where's Meredith? With her family, visiting some relatives or something. Elena was vague because Meredith had been vague herself. She seldom talked about her family, so what do you think? Want to take a chance on Aunt Judith's cooking? For old time's sake? For old time's sakes? For old friends' sake, said Elena, after a moment's hesitation, and smiled at him. He blinked and looked away. How can I refuse an invitation like that? He said in an oddly muted voice. But when he put the magazine back and followed her out, he was smiling too. Oh, that was sweet for her to invite him to Thanksgiving. Okay, and I'll continue.